Mysterious question. What if the oldest, most iconic tree on Earth held a secret so profound it shaped entire civilizations, yet was somehow lost to time? For generations, the true power of the Baobab tree has been veiled in mystery. But today, we're unearthing a truth that will shatter everything you thought you knew about this ancient giant. So imagine a secret so ancient, so impactful, it's been whispering from the heart of the Baobab tree for centuries, yet no one was listening, until now. Prepare to journey into a forgotten past as we unveil the hidden truth that sustained communities and reshaped destinies locked away within the very essence of the Baobab. The Baobab tree's ancient forgotten secret, in the heart of Nsunfa village, where the earth breathes dust after the rains, stood a Baobab tree older than memory itself. Its trunk was wide enough to hide an entire hut, and its branches stretched, like the arms of a giant guarding the sky. Children whispered that the tree could listen to secrets if you pressed your ear to its bark. But the elders said, "It remembers more than it listens." Nobody truly understood what they meant. Amma, a curious girl with bright eyes and hair like coiled rivers, always visited the Baobab after school. She loved to run her fingers over its wrinkles, which felt like folded maps of ancient lands. Her grandmother warned her not to stay too long. "They say the tree dreams in shadows," she murmured. But Amma only smiled and listened for a heartbeat in the wood. One evening, while the sun melted into gold behind the hills, Amma noticed something strange. A small opening, no bigger than her fist, had appeared near the tree's base. Inside, a faint glow pulsed like the breath of a sleeping animal, her chest filled with both fear and excitement. The Baobab was hiding something alive. Amma returned the next morning with a calabash of water, thinking the tree might be thirsty. When she poured it into the hole, the glow brightened. A soft humming sound rose from the trunk, low and deep like a talking drum. She stepped back, eyes wide. Was the tree thanking her? That night, she dreamt she was standing in a wide desert, the Baobab beside her. Its branches shimmered with tiny golden leaves that whispered her name. From its roots, a river of light flowed across the sand. A voice from nowhere said, "You have awakened me, child." Amma woke with her hands warm, as if holding sunlight. She told her grandmother about the dream. The old woman's face turned pale as moonlight. "That tree," she said slowly, "is not just wood and leaves. It is a keeper." Amma leaned forward, heart pounding. "A keeper of what?" Her grandmother's eyes darted toward the Baobab through the window. "It guards the memory of the first rains," she whispered. Amma frowned. Rain can't be kept in a tree. But the old woman shook her head. Not water, the spirit of the rain. That evening, Amma returned to the tree with her drum. She beat a slow rhythm, just as the elders did before calling the clouds. The hole glowed again, brighter now, and the humming grew louder. The Baobab's bark seemed to ripple like water. Then a drop of silver fell from the hole and landed on her drum. When the drop touched her drum, a small rainbow rose into the air. It shimmered above her head, humming the same low note as the tree. Amma gasped and almost dropped the drum. The rainbow folded itself into a tiny bird and flew into the hole. The humming stopped. For days, Amma could think of nothing else. She stopped playing with her friends. Even the market's bright colors couldn't pull her attention away. The Baobab had given her a sign, and she had to know more. Her feet carried her there every dawn. On the seventh morning, Amma brought a small clay lamp. She lit it and placed it beside the glowing hole. The light from the lamp and the light from the tree began to swirl together. It looked like two streams meeting to form a stronger river. Then, something inside the hole began to move. A hand, thin and wooden like a root, reached out. Amma froze, but it did not harm her. It held a small gourd, sealed with red wax. The hand placed the gourd in her palm and slowly withdrew. The hole closed, leaving only smooth bark. Amma turned the gourd over and over in her hands. It was warm, almost as if it was alive. She could hear a faint trickling sound inside. It wasn't water, it was music, soft and sweet. Her heart told her not to open it, just yet. That night she hid the gourd under her sleeping mat, but sleep would not come. She could feel it calling to her, like a friend whispering her name. Finally, she tiptoed outside into the moonlight. The Baobab stood silent, as if watching her. Amma broke the wax seal. A thin mist poured out and wrapped around her feet. It smelled of wet soil after rain from the hay. Mist rose a small figure made of light, no taller than her knee. Its eyes were like drops of clear water. "I am Eswanu, the spirit of the first rains," it said. Its voice was like rain falling on a drum. "You have opened the gourd too soon." "Little one?" Amma swallowed hard. I wanted to know the truth. The spirit's gaze was gentle, but sad. "The Baobab is my home," Eswanu explained. "Long ago, the world was thirsty for 100 years. The first rains came, but people fought over them. So, I hid myself inside the tree until the world learned kindness again." Amma's chest ached at the thought of a thirsty world. Amma asked, "Will you bring the rains back now?" Eswanu shook its small head. "You are the first to wake me in centuries, but the world is not ready. The rains I carry can heal, but they can also wash away greed." Amma didn't fully understand, but she wanted to help. "Then tell me what I can do," she said bravely. The spirit smiled, a ripple of light across its face. "You must teach your people to share before the rains can return." Amma thought of the market, where traders often hid their best goods for high prices. She nodded slowly. For many days, Amma visited the Baobab to speak with Eswanu. The spirit told her old stories of how the land had once flourished. It described rivers so clear you could see fish sleeping. It told her of nights when the moon swam in puddles. Amma's heart began to carry these stories like treasures. She started small. She gave part of her lunch to a boy who always ate alone. She helped an old woman carry firewood without asking for payment. She even shared her drum with the younger children. The village began to notice her kindness. One day, the chief called Amma to his hut. He had heard of her acts and wanted to know why she was doing them. Amma simply said, "Because we are richer when we give." The chief chuckled, but his eyes shone with respect. He promised to watch her closely. Weeks passed, and kindness began to spread like wind through tall grass. Neighbors started helping one another without waiting for thanks. Food was shared more freely at the market. Even the grumpy fisherman began to teach the younger boys his secrets. Amma felt hope growing like a new seed inside her. She returned to the Baobab and told Eswanu what was happening. The spirit listened quietly, its eyes like bright rain. "Good," it said, "but there is still one more test." Amma leaned closer. "What is it?" Eswanu's glow dimmed slightly. "The drought will come again soon." The spirit warned her that a dry season, harsher than any before, was on its way. "The way your people respond will decide everything," Eswanu said. "If they share during the drought, the first rains will return forever." Amma's stomach twisted in fear. She knew this would not be easy. The drought came sooner than expected. The river shrank to a silver thread, and the wells turned muddy. The sun's heat pressed on the land like a heavy hand. Even the wind felt dry. People began to whisper about keeping what little they had. Amma gathered the villagers under the Baobab tree. She told them about the coming test. Some believed her, but others laughed and called it a child's tale. Still, she stood firm. "The rains will return if we remember to share," she said. Days turned into weeks without a single drop of rain. The market grew silent as traders hid their food. Children cried at night from hunger. Amma's own family had little left, yet she still gave part of her portion to others. One afternoon, Amma saw the chief's guards taking sacks of grain to his storehouse. Her chest burned with anger. She marched to the chief and told him he was failing the test. The chief frowned deeply but did not reply. That night, he sent food quietly to the poorest homes. Inspired by Amma, others began to open their storerooms. Goats were shared for stew, and yams were divided without counting. The air in the village changed. It felt lighter. Even though food was still scarce, laughter returned to the evenings. The Baobab seemed to stand taller. Amma visited Eswanu to tell the news. The spirit's eyes gleamed like raindrops in moonlight. "You have done well, Amma," it said softly. "But the final sign is yet to come." Amma's heart pounded. That night, a strange wind began to blow. It was cool, carrying the smell of distant water. The villagers looked to the sky, but no clouds appeared. Amma knew it was the spirit's signal. The final part of the test had begun. The next day, a group from a faraway village arrived. They were thin and weary, with children too weak to walk. They asked for food and water. Some villagers hesitated. Their own supplies were nearly gone. Amma stepped forward and offered her last. Yam, her act was like a spark in dry grass. Others followed, giving what they could. Even the chief knelt down to hand water to the strangers. For the first time, the two villages ate together under the Baobab's shade. Amma's eyes filled with tears. That night, Eswanu appeared brighter than ever. "The world is ready," it said. The spirit rose into the branches of the Baobab and began to sing. The song was deep, carrying the sound of rivers and storms. The earth seemed to hold its breath. Clouds rolled in from every corner of the sky. Thunder rumbled like great drums in the hills. Lightning danced above the Baobab without striking. Then, the first drop of rain fell on Amma's cheek. It was as warm as a mother's hug. The rain came in sheets, drenching the land. The ground drank greedily, and the air was filled with the smell of life. Children danced barefoot in the puddles. Women laughed as they filled their pots. Men stood with faces lifted, silent in gratitude. The river swelled back to its old width, carrying fish again. The fields turned green almost overnight. Even the animals seemed to rejoice. The two villages worked side by side to plant new crops. The Baobab's leaves shone like polished emeralds. Eswanu visited Amma one last time. "I will sleep again," it said, "but the rains will remain." Amma felt a lump in her throat. "Will I see you again?" she asked. The spirit smiled. "If the world ever forgets to share, I will return." The spirit's light sank back into the Baobab. The trunk closed around it as if nothing had happened. Only a faint heartbeat could be heard if you pressed your ear to the bark. Amma touched the tree gently. "Rest well, keeper of rains," she whispered. In the months that followed, the village prospered. The market was full again, but greed had no place there. People traded fairly and helped strangers without question. Children grew up hearing Amma's story. The Baobab became the heart of the community. Every year, on the day the rains first returned, the villagers held a feast. They called it the Day of the First Drop. Food was shared freely, and no one was left hungry. Amma always sat under the Baobab during the feast. She would close her eyes and listen for the spirit's hum. As Amma grew older, her hair turned silver like moonlight on water, but her eyes still sparkled with the same curiosity. She taught the children to beat the drum the way she had for the Baobab. They loved the sound, saying it felt like the sky answering back. Amma knew the tree was listening. One year, a young girl asked her, "Why do we share even when we have little?" Amma smiled and pointed to the baobab. "Because this tree remembers," she said. "And if we forget, it will remind us in its own way." The child nodded as if understanding more than words could explain. Rumors of the baobab's magic spread far beyond the village. Travelers came from distant lands to see it. Some hoped for miracles. Others came only out of curiosity. Amma welcomed them all, telling the story over and over. The tree seemed proud, its branches swaying gently. One rainy evening, Amma dreamed again of the desert from her childhood dream. This time, it was full of rivers and flowers. Eswanu stood on the water smiling. "You have kept the promise," it said. Amma felt warmth spread through her like the sun rising. When she awoke, she knew her time was near. She asked to be carried to the baobab. The villagers laid her gently at its roots. She placed her palm on the trunk. "Thank you for trusting me," she whispered. The next morning, Amma was gone, her face peaceful. The Yai. Villagers buried her beside the baobab. That night, the tree's branches glowed faintly for the first time in years. Some said it was Eswanu honoring her. Others swore they heard a drumbeat in the rain. Generations later, the story of Amma and the Keeper of Rains was still told. Children still pressed their ears to the baobab, hoping to hear the hum. No one in the village went hungry again, and when strangers came, they always left with more than they brought. Though Spirit's lesson had taken root. The baobab still stands in Nasunfa, older than memory, taller than greed. Its branches hold the sky, its roots drink from forgotten rivers. Some say if you visit at sunset, you'll hear a soft voice in the wind. It will tell you the secret Amma once learned, that the greatest rain falls first in the heart.